Hey guys and gals, Jomila back here with another video for Infinity Kingdom. Today's going to be a cool video. We're going to make a tier list for the abilities from the Tower of Knowledge. Basically, it's just my opinion on the tier list, so take that however you like, but definitely going to give my input as to why I think each ability is where it is. I'll show you all the tier list real quick. So we're going to have an S tier, which is a godly ability that works on pretty much any team. A tier, which is good abilities, going to work on most teams. B, which is a situational tier, it's going to be good just with specific immortals, but it might really shine when it is with them. C tier, which is abilities that are good early game, but you're definitely going to replace later. And then D tier is just trash. We're not taking those ever. We're never wasting the purple gems. We don't want them. Get them out of here. I'm going to try and go quick through these abilities because there's just a ton. And then I could do another video later where I maybe break some down or do the tier list within a tier list, like an early game tier list and a late game tier list. Anyway, let's get into it with the first couple abilities. Alright, so first we're just going to group all four of these together. Onslaught, Wisdom, Hold Fast, and Fortify. So we'll go ahead. Onslaught and Wisdom, I'm going to put, they're decent early game. Decent. You're only going to buy them just because they're the cheapest abilities out there. They're the cheapest to upgrade. I wouldn't take them past level 4, but they're worth putting on your magic damager or your physical damager early game because it is a cheap way to get them some extra power. The two defensive ones, I'm going to put right in trash. They don't really keep you alive that much longer, and they're just a waste of your purple gems. Alright, next up we're going to take a look at Thump. Thump does a nice little random stun, but that's it, no damage. It's 21% chance to stun, even fully upgraded, it's at 35. You see, I'm using it on mine, it is early game, but I'm probably going to break that thing down eventually. So with that, I'm going to put it in C tier for now, but it may change as we go on. That stun is nice, especially if it procs on a boss that you're having trouble beating in the Well of Time. Again, it's just early game stuff. As you get later, you're not going to use that. So when we come back, we've got Meteor. Meteor, every 6 seconds after battle starts, has a 55% chance of causing magic damage to one opponent. It is over 50% chance. That's kind of my rule with RNG skills. It has to be over 50 or at least close to 50 to even be worth it. Otherwise, you'll have matches where your ability never goes off. Because it's over 55%, I don't like that it's single target, but it's over 55% early game if you need damage on your mage. Meteor is not going to be a bad option. Right, after Meteor, we're going to get into Instigation. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, you get up to a 25% chance of charming one random enemy. So kind of taking their focus. I'm going to put that in trash tier. Not worth getting. Then you have your two heal abilities. Both of them are going to be good early game. One is a little better than the other. So we'll go into that real quick. So you've got support. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, it's a 55% chance that your unit with the highest troop number losses will have their HP restored. Or you have Grace, every 6 seconds after the battle starts, has a 55% chance of restoring HP to you and one random ally. The recovery rate on Grace gets up to 200%, on support gets up to 350. Honestly, they are both pretty even. So they're both a decent early game. They'll kind of give you a little sustainage, but as you get a little higher level and you can get better skills, you're definitely going to move those off of your main team, maybe onto your second. Next one we have is Silence. Silence, every 6 seconds after the battle starts, has a 31.5% chance of causing physical damage to one random enemy unit and silence for 4 seconds. It can get up to a 45% chance, and that damage can get up to 225%. It's recommended on defensive and support immortals, but if you're lacking skills on an attacker, especially a physical attacker, that damage is going to proc pretty high. So with that, I'm actually going to put silence in the good. I'm going to put it in the good tier. Maybe situational. Yeah, we'll bring it down to situational. It'll be a B tier. It's probably going to be the highest tier blue ability, well, except for maybe one. After silence, we're going to get into stray arrow. There's a 55% chance, single target. It's basically a physical version of meteor, so pretty easy. It's going to get graded the same way meteor did. Although you are a higher level by the time you get this, and there's other options, it's still going to be a decent early game skill at level 20 for your castle. So we'll go ahead, we'll put that stray arrow at a good early game. Then we have combo. You see, I've got it leveled on this, but I didn't know better at the time. This is an early account, my first one where I have my lightning team, and I don't use it on my main team at all. Every normal attack is a 30% chance of causing extra physical damage to the target. It's just every normal attack. They do not come all that often, even with like attack speed buffs. And 30%, that's less than 1 in 3 hits. It's almost 1 in 3 hits, but it's less than 1 in 3 hits. The damage is not that big, especially to just be timing it with every normal hit. And how often it's going to proc is not that often. So I'm going to put combo in the trash tier. It's trash. Combo sucks. Next is root. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, it's a 27% chance up to 45 of causing magical damage to one random enemy, and root for 4 seconds. This is similar to the silence skill, but it's rooting them instead of silencing them. So not super good, but the fact that you can get it up to 45%, I'm gonna say it's a decent early game for free to play or low spenders. If you're at, I'm gonna castle level 22 and you're hungry for skills, you could throw root on there, but you're definitely gonna get rid of it later. Next up is precision. Increase your accuracy rate by up to 15%. It's more like situational early game. So you're talking not situational late game, situational early game for the accuracy. You're going to use it against, if you have a win team that's just destroying you, you could go ahead and throw it in there. I'm not even going to put it good early game because you're barely early game anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the trash tier. Then you've got penance. Increase your resilience rate up to 15%. As a defender, early game, maybe, you throw that on there on one of your tanks because they're just dying and they're not staying alive. But you're really going to be getting rid of it pretty soon after that. I'm going to put it in the trash tier because you're better off throwing like the silence or even the stun on one of your defenders over this resilience one. Next up we have Rage. Increase your crit rate up to 15%. That's actually a great skill, especially if you have somebody that's doing AoEs like a Merlin or a Genghis Khan. You can throw that on there and you can do a ton of damage. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and put Rage. I almost want to put it in good. I'm going to put it in good. This is the blue skill that'll probably take you the farthest here in the game. Next up is concentration. So increase your magic damage by up to 30%. This even includes magic damage on abilities like Toxin Nova and Annihilation. Wherever Annihilation is. Annihilation is benefited from the concentration, even Death Breath. So anything that does magic damage, including your skills, is going to benefit from concentration, which is where's concentration now, right here. It's almost a must-have on any mage. So concentration for that is going to go ahead right up into the S tier, Godly. I'm going to get into Agile, increase your dodge rate. This is just for one immortal, not everyone. You have to wait until you're level 25 to unlock it. So at this point, you're really not even in the early game anymore. You're in like an early mid. So that's going to go ahead right into trash tier. Then we have Retaliate. Each time being hit by a normal attack, you have a 30% chance to retaliate, inflicting physical damage on the attacker. Again, I mean, I have it on mine, but I regretted it as soon as I got it. It doesn't really feel like it does much, and you're beyond the early game at that tower level, so it's going to go right down into the trash tier as well. And that does it for blue skills. So you see, we had Rage up here as A, Silence and Situational tier. The rest are just okay for early game or straight trash. Now we have Chase. Every crit has a 30% chance of causing extra magical damage to all enemies. Again, this is less than 100, less than 50. It's at 30% chance. If you're using somebody that has a lot of hits, like Merlin, he does AoE, he hits everyone. Helen, if you're still using Helen at castle level 25, all her little mini hits, I believe they can crit. So that's something where Chase would be really beneficial. But someone with just even a generic AoE, 30%, you might get 1 out of 4 when you do that. And the damage rate's not super high at 225% being max level. So for that, I'm going to put Chase, maybe just situational just for Helen. But it could really be really close to trash tier. So it's low, it's barely situational. It might get bumped down before this list is over, to be fair. Alright, now we have Magical Shield. So decrease the magic damage received by up to 30% in battles. If you have a tank that's dying, you could throw Magical Shield on there, but it's very situational. Now then we're going to go with Chaotic Blade. It's only a 40% chance to proc every 6 seconds, but it can inflict massive amounts of physical damage, 150%, plus 75% continuous damage, which will tick twice on the bleed. Chaotic Blade is a decent skill. It's not great, but it is a decent skill when it comes to physical damagers. Sometimes you're left just needing that little extra push to do your AoE damage. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to put that in the good tier. Not godly, but good. And from there, we've got Physical Shield, up to 30% physical protection, similar to the Magic Shield. It's very situational if you have a tank that's dying to a certain kind of damage, or even just a frontline damager that can still do a lot of damage and be carrying a defensive ability. Maybe like Herald or Attila the Hun. You can go ahead and throw it on them. Next up is Anger. This is the physical version of Concentration. So it increases the damage of your physical skills as well as your tower abilities. Anger is an S tier godly ability. Then we're going to go in here to Absorb. This is grants you a lifesteal buff during battle. So when you deal normal attacks, there's a 55% chance of restoring HP up to 100% of the damage dealt. Absorb's a great skill, especially if you have a frontliner that's having issues dying or he's not getting the heals he needs to stay alive. It's a good skill. It's not godly, but it's good. So it's worth putting on your team. I, for example, have mine at level 6 on my main account, but it's been pushed to my second team. My starting team has better skills, and they don't need it anymore. After that, we're going to get into Heavenly Thunder. Every normal attack has a 30% chance of triggering a lightning strike, causing magic damage to the target and 2 random nearby enemy units. Again, this is only a 30% chance, less than 50. Your normal attacks just really don't come that often. And the damage really isn't even that high. It's 150%. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and put Heavenly Thunder right there in the trash tier. We have Fighting Master. It gives you immunity to control and reduces the damage you receive by up to 15%. This skill is overpowered. This is an amazing skill. It's a must-have on most of your frontliners. I've seen people put it on their healers like Zenobia, and it crushes there as well, just because it keeps that heal coming out. Nobody's going to be able to stop it. You can't be silenced, you can't be stunned, you can't be rooted. Water dragons can't freeze you. I mean, you become immune to all CC, and you just keep your ability turning. If you can combo this with like an energy burst or adrenaline rush on some of your supports, you're going to just crush it. Your support abilities are going to keep pouring out. So with that, this is an S tier godly ability. You're going to be using it straight through the end game on your immortals. Next up's After Image. After the battle starts, grants a dodge effect to all your troops, increasing their dodge rate by up to 25%, but only for the first 12 seconds of battle. This does not ride with you through the end of the fight. After the first 12 seconds are up, your dodge rate is gone. For that, I'm going to put it in situational. You know, it's a decent ability under the right circumstances. Maybe with a win team, you could find a use for it, but it's not going to be on your everyday team that you run all the time. Then we have Toxin Nova. This is a great skill, 50% chance to proc. Does magic damage to 3 random enemy units. Also inflicts a damage over time with poison. Toxin Nova is a great skill. It's going to go ahead right into the good tier. Basically Chaotic Blade, you know, for Visceral, but it's got a better chance to hit. So even better. And then we're going to go to Defense Blessing, decrease the damage taken by all your troops by up to 25%. Again, only for the first 12 seconds of battle. You've got better skills that you would use here towards the late game. So for that, I'm going to put that in trash tier. You're past the early game at this point, so there's not going to be anything else that goes in the good early game tier anymore. Then we have Adrenaline Rush. Every normal attack has a 50% chance of gaining up to 150 extra energy. This used to be a great skill. It gave you almost twice the amount of energy. But you have a 50% chance on your normal attacks. It's still a good amount of energy. It's a decent skill, but it went from a godly tier to just a good tier. Garrote. This is the same exact thing as Chaotic Blade. It causes a tear instead of bleed, whatever. I don't think that makes a difference for the dot damage. So we're gonna go ahead and put that right into the good tier. Next up's Fire Nova. This is the exact same thing as Toxin Nova. That 50% proc chance is even better than the physical versions. It goes in the good tier still though. Then we have Iron Will. So minus 9% damage inflicted and received if controlled during battle. So this is great for a tank like Richard, maybe an Arthur, somebody that's just staying alive. Their damage does not matter, but there they are to CC control the bad guy. It can be a great skill on the right immortals, so that's why it's going to go into the situational tier. On the right immortals, this is godly. It really is. But on your everyday teams, it's not. So it just depends on who it's on, but that skill can be great. And we have Will of Angels. When you receive damage, there's a 7% chance that restoring HP, recovery rate up to 300% to your unit that has lost the most troop power. 7%. You could go through fights and never see this thing pop off once. Maybe see it pop off once or twice in a fight. So for that, we're going to knock it right down into trash tier. Lifelink. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts is a 50% chance of creating a lifelink with 2 enemy units. They will share your received damage of up to 50% for 6 seconds. If you saw my video on taking out bosses with the defender, lifelink is key in that. It's also great against enemy teams when you have it on some of your frontliners. Lifelink is godly. Then you have Cleave. Every normal attack has a 75% chance of causing extra physical damage, up to 75% to 2 nearby units. This should be the first gold skill you unlock, and it should be the first gold skill you get. It's great, especially for a frontliner that's attacking heavily and fast. It spreads their damage all out, and it helps knock out some of their enemy teammates faster. So it's also going to go into a godly skill. War Blessing. Increase the damage of all your troops by 17.5% up to 20 for the first 12 seconds of battle. Not bad. It's for the first 12 seconds, but if you combine that with Rage Blessing, increase the energy regen speed of 3 random units by 40% up to 50 for the first 12 seconds of battle. Those two combo well together. Because of that, it makes it a little more situational, but it can be a good skill. Then you have Demon Body. Honestly, it's another 7% chance when you take damage. It's gonna go right in the trash. I had leveled it at one point and I broke it down. It did not feel good at all. Move here to Sacrifice. After the battle starts, increase damage of 2 random allied units by up to 15%, but reducing your damage by 4.5%. Also has a 15% chance of increasing your initial energy by 100%. So you're almost never going to see this go off. 15% chance of increasing your initial energy. 15% extra damage by 2 random allies could be good if you have 3 damagers and you put this on, one of your defenders. Similar to our ability earlier, right? Where Iron Will, where they're doing less damage anyway because they're just there to control. It could be a situational skill that definitely helps out. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the situational tier. Duel Master. After the battle starts, increase your physical attack by up to 50% and grants you immunity to wound. Alright, so let's look at that. It increases your physical attack by up to 50%. That's the same amount of physical attack increase you get from this green skill. Actually, it's less. This gives you up to 60. So how often is wound really hurting you? Probably not that often. Right? Wound you only have to worry about if you're against somebody that uses Keen Emperor, or if you're against a lot of Genghis Khans, which Genghis Khan's $100 immortal, US dollars anyway. I don't like Duel Master. I don't like it. They need to make the attack more, or add some sort of other utility besides being immune to wound. Maybe make another random ally immune to wound. Right now it's just not worth it. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the trash tier. It's trash. It doesn't really help out. Very situational. If you're getting your butt whooped by a Genghis Khan over and over again, sure, go ahead, grab this, give you some extra damage, and put it on one of your physical immortals. But it has to be a physical immortal. It can't be on a mage. And it's not worth it. Not in my book. Then we get to Berserk. Increase your attack speed of all your units by up to 10%, and gives you a restore small amount of HP with every successful normal attack up to 30%. It's a great aura skill. Love this aura. I'm gonna put it right into the S tier. Rage Blessing we just spoke about. It's very situational, but it can be situational, with the other skill that increases your damage in the first 12 seconds. Resist. During battle, 3 of your random allied troops will receive 50% less magic damage for the first 18 seconds. On tanky teams, this skill's great. You see a lot of earth teams running it. I'm going to go ahead and put it right into the good skill tier, because it will be very useful on any defensive teams. I'm going to go ahead and look at Absolute Defense. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, 15% chance of entering a defense status that blocks the next 3 instances of damage for a maximum duration of 6 seconds. Trash. Malice. Once the battle starts, reduce the crit rate of all enemy units by up to 20%. Crit is everything in this game, so if you can reduce the crit of the bad guy, you're off to a good start. Off to a great start. I'm having trouble deciding between S tier and A tier for this. Though it's not S tier for all team setups, it is for most. So I'm going to put it right there in the S. Oaken Guard does a physical version of what Resist does, so resist up to 50% physical damage for 18 seconds. It's a great skill. Totally worth having on a lot of teams. So I'm going to put it in the good category. It looks like a lightning sperm. It's called Speed Blessing. I'm going to go ahead and call it lightning sperm for now. Increase your attack speed by up to 30% of all your troops, but only for the first 12 seconds of battle. It's a decent skill. It's great because it's purple. A purple skill that late in the game is a little cheap to max out. But it's more situational than anything. it just depends. If you have a team that's really going to benefit with the attack speed, maybe you have the Rage Blessing and the War Blessing on, you're just really looking to knock somebody down in the first 12 seconds of the battle, they might go well together, but there's better combinations that you can do. Next we have Energy Suppression. Slow the energy regen speed of all enemy troops by up to 50% for the first 12 seconds of battle. It's an amazing skill. Don't run it on my Lightning team, but I will surely be running it on my Wind team. S tier. You're going to use it on almost any team. It's going to be very beneficial to you. Next we have Fighting Will. Every 20% drop in the number of soldiers will deal physical damage up to 150% to all enemies, and has an up to 45% chance of rooting them for 6 seconds. This skill is amazing. It's one of the few I've already taken to 7 on this account. The AoE roots, the damage that it can do on a strong attacker is amazing, and it slows the enemy down with all those roots. So definitely worth having. S tier in my book. It may not be on every team comp, but it'll be on a lot. Annihilation. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, you have a 45% chance of dealing magic damage up to 300% to all enemy units. If we look at this and we compare it to Toxin Nova or Fire Nova, it's less of a percentage of chance. It is to 4 instead of 3, but you're talking you have 175% damage rate with another 2 ticks of a 75% damage rate. That's a little more damage to 3 people, and it's going to proc more often, even though this does hit 4. For that, I can't say Annihilation's any better than Toxin or Fire Nova, so it's just going to go right into the good category, not godly. Then we have Energy Burst. Gains up to 100 additional energy when you deal a critical hit. This could be great on an AoE Immortal or even just a straight line Immortal that's high crit, because they're just going to keep constantly getting their energy back. Somebody like a Saladin, where he's AoE hitting 3 times over, is going to be super godly with this ability. But your everyday Immortal, it's good. It's a great skill to have on him. You're probably still going to have it even though it's not S tier, because it gets your abilities out faster. But you can't use it on a supporter because, they're not AoE hitting, and it has to be on somebody that's doing AoE. So because of that, it just misses the S tier, but it's definitely a solid A tier. We have Misleading. Once the battle starts, reduce the accuracy rate of all enemies by up to 20%. Accuracy is great. If they can't hit you, they can't hurt you. Not really an S tier, but it's definitely in the good tier. It's an aura, so remember, keep in mind, you can only have 1 aura per Immortal. We have another aura, Weakness. Once the battle starts, reduce the resilience rate of all enemies up to 20%. That's great. Resilience stops you from critting. So if you can crit more often, you can do a ton more damage. Again, it's not going to be useful on every team. It's going to be useful on a lot of teams, so it's going to stick here in the good category. Then we have Death Breath. Every 6 seconds causes physical and magical damage up to 75%. There's no chance on that. Every 6 seconds, this is going to do that damage. It's recommended on supporters, but if you have a good physical or magic damager, they're going to do well with Death Breath as well. I think Death Breath is an S tier skill. I love it on my YSG, and I see a lot of people use it on their Cleopatras, their Zenobias, their Keen Emperors. It's great. It's a great skill. It's going to work on almost any team. Then we have Coercion. Once the battle starts, reduce the dodge rate of all enemy units by up to 20%. Not many are using dodge. This is useful if you have a strong win team on your server, maybe, that's whooping your butt, but it's not useful on most teams. I'm going to go ahead and just put it down here into the situational tier. Because, if you have somebody that's dodging you or causing you to be less accurate, sure, you're going to put this on your team and you're going to make sure you hit them. But it's not like a must-have. You're not looking at this as the first skill you're going to throw on your team from one of their auras. You have Assist. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts, assist 1 random back row allied troop by transferring all of their received damage to you, and reduce the damage you receive by up to 25%. It's a great skill. You're probably going to put it on almost any team. I have it on my frontline defender, Sometimes I see people put it on their backline supporter just to cover their other backline damager. Huge skill, huge skill. It reduces so much damage that you take and really protects another ally. Awesome, awesome, awesome skill. S tier. Finally, Shelter protects all units on the same side within range with a 50% chance of restoring HP, recovery rate up to 40% if they sustain damage. It's a great skill. It's a great skill. It keeps my lightning team alive to help them sustain. You're going to put it on almost any team. Not every team, though. There's bursty teams that probably aren't going to use this, like Fire and Wind. So because of that, we're going to keep it down there in the good tier. Not quite godly. It's not as good as you'd think. It's not like some major heal that's, you know, bringing you back from nothing. And then finally, Paralysis. Once the battle starts, reduce the attack speed of all enemy units by up to 15%. You know, attack speed's great. You know, it sucks to lose that, but not some godly ability. I'm actually even going to put it down here in the situational tier. So that's going to do it. This is my tier list for the Tower of Knowledge skills. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've got a skill that you absolutely love that's down here that you think deserves to be higher. Let me know if you took off some of these high tier skills that you just thought were trash and they weren't helping you, and you put it at the bottom. And I'll look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.